you doing? It is Wednesday. Yeah. And I hope y'all are doing really good. I just want to say favor over everybody to speaking it, because today we have a guest that I believe is going to help amplify that. My guest is JD, and JD is a practicing shaman, Reiki. Is that correct, JD?
Yeah, that's right. And thank you for having me on, Wayne. I appreciate it.
Hey, man,
so
I'm
much,
honored. It's like, this is like candy.
Oh, the honor is all mine, indeed. But yeah, it's shamanic Reiki is what the modality would be, but I have my own modality that I've kind of added to that. So it's what I use is a modality called Solomonic, which is the dark serpent of light. And there's also a few spirits that I will use through methods of evocation and invocation in that too. But yeah, it's
far out.
Yeah, it has Reiki at its core roots of it. Yes.
That is so cool. I mean, and I like the the dichotomy of the dark light. I mean, that speaks perfectly, I think, to the paradigm. Just my observation.
Well, I mean, I think that when people are looking for something and they're looking in all the wrong places, they really just don't realize that a lot of the answers are deep inside of themselves, but a lot of those answers are in those dark aspects of themselves. And that's where they have to go within and work those things out, and also utilize a lot of that shadow self as their strength.
The synchronicities here, folks, because you don't know this, I actually wrote to a person who sent me an email, and not to disclose what I wrote in there, but what I said was that many times when we look in the past of our lives and we've seen that we've been in those dark places, down that dark road where we don't want to go again because it was hard, it was difficult. Yet, what JD and kind of respond on this, what I tell them is that you don't understand. You were given a precious reward, a treasure. It taught you something that no light could have ever taught you.
Yeah, no doubt. You have to have these life experiences because it's, the attainment of knowledge, through study, through books, but also combining that with life experience that's going to lead to true wisdom. And we have to have adversity in our lives in order to see what we're made of, and in order to see that we can overcome pretty much anything that's sent our way if we tackle it head on and we don't give up. And I think life is full of these opportunities, and that's really what a lot of these difficult times are. They are opportunities if you can see it like that.
I think we need to. I mean, there is the maturity factor. And I was writing to someone today, where I come from, I was a warrior. I still am. But as a teacher as well. But it's something that we should begin to see things differently. When we're having the hard times, if we embrace those within a gratitude, I know they suck, but again, you always come out stronger.
Yeah.
So JD, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to where you are at? How did you discover your awakening, and how has that journey progressed? That's a short question.
No, I know. It's just crazy, man. It's so crazy. It's 10 years ago, I certainly wouldn't have saw myself sitting here with you now talking about things like this. Like, no way. I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Says Martha, we're not in Kansas anymore.
No. And I realized that, throughout all of this, I certainly do realize and embrace the fact now that I do live in a different reality system now than I did. Like, straight up, I'm living in a different reality. It's really hard to grasp as that concept is. I'm sure a lot of your viewers can relate to that, and maybe you can relate to that too. once you have these shifts, you really have no choice but to begin to live in that different reality, because the more you fight it, that's where your problems are going to arise. If you're trying to exist in your old reality and straddling the fence on this new reality, this newer, higher shift of consciousness, you're going to encounter turbulence. But for me, it really started. Really my whole life I've been interested in ghosts and paranormal things, and I saw spirits and could feel things around me, but I didn't really put any emphasis on it, so to speak. I had a lot of involvement in various aspects of Christianity through Presbyterian Church, Mormon Church, and then even in Catholicism, which was, I converted to Catholicism, I think maybe when I was 28 or 29.
Wow.
Through a marriage thing. I just kind of felt like I needed to do it. But I wanted to, though, and I gave it my all. I really did. But it seemed like my involvement in Catholicism opened a lot of doorways to the occult coming into my life. Really uninvited, I would say. I mean, I didn't really have any interest in any of these kind of things. Not to the degree that I do now, by any means. I mean, I like to watch a cool, scary movie. Interested in ghosts, things like that, but nothing, I wasn't ghost hunting. I didn't know what magic was. I didn't know what healing was. I didn't know what any of these things were. But these spirits would begin to come to me at night, especially, and sit on the corner of my bed. And I would have these experiences where it would happen like clockwork. And as soon as I get into bed and pull the covers up, I would feel the weight on the bottom corner of my side of the bed. And then it would feel like like a torso of a person just fell over on its side and then kind of starts crawling up towards me. And I know it's creepy, right?
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah. So that would happen, and it would be like sheer terror. I mean, it's like fight or flight's getting ready to kick in. You're just like, what this is crazy. But then it would start to feel like a serpent would be wrapping around like my calves and start working its way up. And as it would get to my waist, it felt like a tidal wave of highly orgasmic static electrical energy. Like it was like a wave. It would crash on my head, come back down all the way to my feet, and then it would just go boosh and just like crash over me, like over and over. And I found that it would go on all night long. It was crazy. And it was something that the first time it would happen, it would be scary. I mean, it's, when that kind of thing happens today, it's still scary to feel that physical weight in something that you can't see at all.
How do you overcome that? Not to interrupt here, but a lot of people, I've had a lot of people who write me, and particularly of late, that sense these same things. So how did you develop the mental discipline, I guess, JD, is what I'm asking, and not to fear?
Well, that's the hard part. The fear is something that I think that it's always like been associated with those experiences right in the very beginning, when that shift takes place and the spirit or the energy is there with you. I think that the fear, it comes from our body's inability to distinguish what that vibrational frequency is. And so we are interpreting it as being something that is dangerous to us or that could potentially be dangerous. And so our body, in order to protect us, is going to put us into fight or flight, make us feel that intense anxiety and fear. But you'll find that if you can keep yourself together, that quickly dissolves. And then all of those amazing experiences that come after that, you're able to fully experience them. So I think it seems to be something that really never goes away. That first initial moment when you're in the presence of that type of energy, that's what you're going to feel.
Interesting.
Maybe the more you acclimate to it, that will go away. But that's having that type of experience with a spirit or an energy is, it's about as intense as it gets. And you know, even though it was amazing, it was terrifying me too. And so I was trying to fight it, and I was trying to, you know, and the more I did that, the worse things got. Especially when I was using Judeo-Christian methods of like exorcism and reading Psalms, and that just made it worse. And I finally got to the point where I was just like, screw you, God. I see that I need to do this on my own. And so I began to study and research. And the more I sought out ways and methods to try to destroy my adversary, so to speak, I began to find out that I had my adversary all wrong. And my eyes began to open, and the closer and closer I got to what I guess I considered to be what my truth is, the less and less the paranormal activity began to take place. And there wasn't any more poltergeist activity and my, you know, crazy kind of like possession experience that I had. You know, there was none of that anymore. It was me just becoming to that understanding that these energies, these forces were really just trying to get my attention. And that, I think they tried to get our attention all the time in various ways, but so many of us were closed off to it and we're not seeing it. And I think that when they really want to get your attention and they've tried everything, they know fear works. That's going to get your attention. And so they may wreak havoc in your life for a while until you can kind of open your eyes and say, oh, hey, what's up? Okay.
So this is fascinating because I think it's helping a lot of people on this. Did you, along this path, how did you begin to communicate? How did you begin to find out? Was it that they had something that they wanted to tell yourself or the world, or how did that relationship begin to bond?
It was very energetic in the beginning. And that's, I had a lot of crazy things happen, experiences with spirits where I was marked on my body. I had a lot of those, and I actually had a spirit that flew into my ear when I went into this vacant house with a guy that used to work for me to check it out. I don't know if that had something, you know, to do with everything that's happened to me. I don't know. I've been bitten, which turned into a burn that I had for almost a year. Like it wouldn't heal. I've had so many crazy experiences like that. And that was a lot of the communication was energetic, you know, me feeling their presence, them marking my body or doing things to me that I could feel in a very tangible way. As far as the communication goes, you know, other than that, in the beginning, it was really just me having a lot of thoughts that I thought were my own thoughts. And that, because that's how it starts off, telepathic communication. Yep. And you think that you're like, I'm just crazy. I'm thinking these things in my head. This is not coming from a third party, you know, in any kind of way. But then you do begin to realize that those aren't your thoughts. That's not your voice at all. And these things that you're being told this is not information that you're just pulling out of your butt. Like this is real knowledge, or at least real information, you know, however you want to consider it to be. Some people consider it to be worthless, I guess, but
some do, but I say it's to their loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thought occurred to me as you were talking, JD. It seems like in the spirit realm, it's really crowded over there. It seems like there's a lot of spirits walking this earth.
Yeah. I think that they really seriously are all around us all the time, probably in vaster numbers that we could even, you know, they would terrify us if we knew. And a lot of people are able to see these things around them and perceive them. And I think that the more that we are opening up, and we're all opening up and awakening more and more every day, we are going to begin to see more of these dimensional creatures, paranormal creatures, whatever you want to call them, things that are on the astral plane. We're going to see those more in this reality as that bleed over is occurring and that shift is taking place more and more. You know, we're going to be vibrating at a higher frequency to allow those realities to be here fully in our consciousness anyways.
I think that, and it's just me, I've had this theory that ever since we popped off the first A-bomb in our atmosphere, that there was a rift that was open, and due to the other shifts that our planet has incurred, you and I were just talking before we came on, and I wrote this down. I've recognized, I think, at least 3 shifts. The one everyone's pretty much aware of is 2012. I sensed there was another one in 2016, and I contend we are in the midst of one right now, or it's occurring right in 2020. What are your thoughts?
I could not agree with you more. 2012, 2016, and I think 2020, certainly it has that vibrational
it does.
that it's going to be huge. Like there's going to be a great deal of information that's going to be revealed to us, things that we have been, answers to some things that we've been searching for. Not all the answers, but it's going to be, I think everything's going to make sense a whole lot more. And I think it's going to have to do with interdimensional beings for sure. I think a lot of these spirits that I work with, that I consider, or like the mainstream society considers to be demons, I think that those are extraterrestrials, you know, as well. I kind of think that it all is kind of a big conglomerate. I used to feel that it was very separate, and I didn't like UFOs. I didn't like that whole aspect of space. I wasn't really even that concerned about anything like that at all. And then a lot of the demons or the spirits, I call them spirits, that I work with, the more and more of them are pointing to that what we consider to be aliens, or what spirits, and a lot of those things they're aliens, they're kind of one and the same. They're all consciousness that are in other areas and other dimensions that are streaming their consciousness through connecting to us, that we can perceive them. And so I guess in that regard, they're all aliens.
Do they help? A lot of people struggle to change the conditions of their life. They want things to become more positive. The thing that I'd love your insight on, with those spirits that you work, you know, I have fought demons, I fought angels. A lot of people don't think that angels, they're not all what they are said. But anyway, I digress. How do you find, I guess, is there a distinct personality, and what is their power that they actually bring to the table, I guess?
Angels, they can be one of 2 ways, really. And I guess demons can be a lot of different ways too, but angels can be a little more difficult to work with and not so apt to help you magically, and they can be a little aggressive. The archangels, they are more tolerant of magic, and they'll help you and work with you in those ways. I've worked with Raphael for healing before. And it is a very, very awesome power. It feels a little bit different. I prefer darker aspects of energy. I find them personally more fulfilling and powerful. I would say powerful, because you know you have that aspect of dark matter and creation when you're working with these aspects of darkness. I think that with the angels, once you have found your inclination to what type of sorcery or magic or spiritual path, you just want to call it your spiritual path, you really do get a feel for what energies are inherent within you, what's always been within you. And some people may find that that lighter angelic energy is with them. But then there are other people who are going to find that some of that darker energy is with them, and that's what they resonate with, and that's kind of what they're inclinated towards. And I think for me, it's I just find it very more natural to work with demons rather than angels. But
they don't bother me. I mean, I don't have a beef with either one. On the demon side, on the ones you work with, when you do a energy work on an individual, is it possible that other spirits can attach themselves to a person's body, and that can be a source of, the sickness or issues blocking in their lives?
In the way that I do it, I open a evacuation portal with the Daizan symbol, and I do lay out a lot of spiritual protection around myself and the client that I'm working with. I mean, there's always that possibility that an uninvited guest could make their way in, but it's very rare that happens. And I do work with, the spirits that I work with that assist in this healing. They're not ones to stick around for any reason either. They all have very specific duties and jobs that they're there to perform their function, and that's really what they do. Yeah.
When you say that, I get this mental image that the what I call the ether, you can call it, the spirit realm, astral realm. It's very busy over there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, because there's so much happening there, it's a lot of where the things that we visualize and the things that we want to create, they all really kind of come together there on that plane before we then manifest it here in this physical reality. So really anything that you've ever thought of and anything that I've ever thought of and will think of, it all exists there right now. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know if I come from the film industry, and so I always appreciate film. And I always thought that when they made the Twilight Zone, the movie, and Billy, who was the kid who, whatever he thought, it happened. Mm-hmm. And it was really odd because in the movie they did a great job, is that, his sister had apparently pissed him off and she had no mouth, but she was watching these cartoons that were just absolutely insane. And I later heard a professor at UCLA talking about that, and he said, isn't it interesting how the mind can create these traps, these horrific things, and we make them out to be cartoons, but they end up becoming real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that you put enough of your time and attention into, especially with the visualization, it's going to result in some type of manifestation here in this physical reality.
It is.
There's tons of thought forms out there.
And there's many of them that will join you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm putting together, and I've been working on this a while. That's what makes sex magic so powerful. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the most forbidden, taboo subjects to talk about. It'll get you bumped off of YouTube. It will get you censored on Facebook. But if you master the principles behind that, manifestation into the physical never becomes a problem again. Mm-hmm. What do you think? I mean, it's just a topic, but that's what I have definitely observed and experienced.
Yeah. I mean, I think that love is so powerful. And
it is.
And sexual energy is really, like a magical nuclear bomb. That is really, that I found too. I mean, besides, blood sacrifice. And when I say that, I don't mean people or anything like that. There's some, a rite of deification that I have actively participated in with a fellow sorcerer friend of mine. And it's, I can go into that too. But as far as the sex magic goes, I found that working with those spirits, the spirits that were coming to my bed when I was first having my awakening, I did find out more of their nature. And these are spirits that I work with a lot. These are spirits that, through working with Lilith, I help other people to come into union with.
Yep.
And that's just kind of something that intermediary role just kind of happened. But when you join together with like an incubi or succubi, then your sex magic just goes through the roof, because you're building up so much sexual energy inside of yourself all the time through that spirit, through the exchanging of energy that it gets more powerful and more powerful all the time. You can then use that sexual energy and transmutate it into manifesting things magically, into anything that your creativity, you can infuse it into any and every part of your life, as you should be doing anyways with that energy.
Yeah. As you were talking about Catholicism and, subsequently Protestantism, and it goes back into a lot of the isms, they're all heavily influenced by sexual magic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
The Catholic Church especially, you just have to have eyes to see. It's everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. That whole religion is so heavily occult based.
It is the occult.
Everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. There's no doubt. I feel like there's they're tapping into things of the Vatican that you would have you probably would be like, oh yeah, I would have figured that, but they are working with all of those same type of occult energies, demons, you name it, they're doing it.
Jack wants to know, what is the price for the energy exchange? What payment is expected?
As far as what you're going to have to either give up or endure, like in exchange, is that what he means by like?
I think that's what he is talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I do feel that with pretty much any major magical operation that you perform, if you are really trying to manifest something heavy, you're going to certainly pay for some type of price. There's going to be something involved that's skin in the game that you're going to have to put in, so to speak. But for, when like the energy work sessions that I do with clients, there's really nothing that you're going to be having to go through or give up. The only thing maybe you would give up is some of your psychic block, I guess, that was in place, your psychic filter, because that's going to be worn away a little bit through the session. But there's not going to be any difficult exchange involved, I guess I'll put it like that.
I've never found it to be. I am spirit. That's the only difference. I'm in a corporeal denser matter. It's interesting because as I have experienced, there's something that every human brings. We bring the life essence. In Christianity, they teach that the life is in the blood. You look in areas of certain magic that I have participated in, the sexual fluids contain elements that, even from a DNA perspective, that is very powerful. And that's what I always say to the table. If there's a price to be paid, well, I'm bringing the essence, the elixir that you're going to need to do what we're seeking here to do. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree with you more.
And every spirit has respected that.
Yeah. Because those fluids are unique to you and you alone. And they do have your not just your energetic fingerprint, but your DNA, everything that's unique about you. And, one of the things that Azazel had told me was that basically any time you create a bond with a specific spirit, that is actually creating a unique resonant frequency connection that is unlike any other connection in existence. Anybody else's connection to that spirit is going to be different than your connection to that spirit. And so it's kind of like how our blood is unique to us. Our connection to that spirit is unique to us too, in that way.
I saw that it's actually a representation of us. It's powerful. I mean, you know, when people know this, when I was doing the Libralith series, you know, before I did that, you know, Lilith actually.
That was awesome too, by the way.
She just, she visited me, and all I know is that if she ever kisses you, wow, I mean, it's different. It's different.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of beyond like anything that you could ever imagine reality could be.
Yeah.
And it's heavy, man. It's heavy stuff, you know, but I think that is just going to be more and more of a regular thing as we move forward, just because our levels of perception is so heightened. You know, and just imagine, you know, you're able to perceive and experience things like that now, you know, and then next year, 2 or 3 years, like, holy shit, who knows what's coming, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because JD, I think you sense it as well. There just seems to be an intensity that, particularly where the spirit is concerned. I know it's real.
Yeah, I can feel it. You know, I can feel it where then I guess the area where people would consider it to be your root chakra, I can feel it there. I can feel this vibrating inferno like all the time, and it just gets more intense and more intense and more intense. And it just feels like even the room that you're sitting in many cases, it can feel like it's getting to be almost like a denser, you know, energy. You can feel like the room is beginning to pressurize almost. And I think it's like, you know, these dimensions that are overlapping each other, these new frequencies that we're being introduced to that are all around us, you know, the frequencies that we are getting from these spirits, from extraterrestrials, all of that stuff. It's just all starting to infused together in this spider web, I guess, of energy all around us.
I see it as thousands and billions of fiber. I want to address some because I've been watching some of the comments in the chat room. Let me explain something, folks. I see so many of you are still locked into the Abrahamic Judeo-Christian mindset where angels and demons are concerned. You really have to understand you're in a matrix, that if you see demons as being bad, angels as being good, you're still tied to that Abrahamic God. You're still tied to that Christian God, that whole Christian mindset. Folks, it's a trap. You've got to understand these spirits are of two sources. They're of human, and they're very well of an alternate world. The fact is, there is no Jesus Christ. There is no God of Abraham who's sitting on a throne wielding a big hat. Get that out. Now, you may not like that, but until you do, you're going to have that fear factor. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Sorry about that, JD.
No, well said. No, well said, man. Like, you know, right on, bro.
You won't be afraid of them. I saw it because I saw a lot of the comments. People were saying, well, I ain't messing with no demons, you know, and what have you. Folks, you're already messing with demons.
All the time, every day.
I mean, exchange the word demon with energy. I mean, it's all around.
Yeah.
Do you find... Go ahead, JD.
I was going to say, but like, we are all so intimately involved with these types of spiritual forces, more than you could ever guess. You know, and once you become cognizant of it, then you'll be able to look back and realize that they've always been there. You know, you were just not. You know,
I told a Catholic priest this, and I said, you know, what you people do in this performance, this show of exorcism, I said, is ludicrous. And of course, he didn't like what I was saying. And he said, well, he says, I have history on my side. And I'm going, wait a minute. So you say you've got history. How is it that a spirit is going to yield to the name of Jesus that never existed if the spirit is a Christian? I said, so what happens if you have a Islamic spirit? What happens if you have a Hindu spirit? You know, is the name Jesus going to exorcise them out? I mean, we've gotten into, and now I'm just going to, JD, anyway, it's absurd because it causes a psychosis in so many people's spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it does, for sure. I mean, and I think that once you have that realization of the ultimate spiritual power that lies within yourself, and that you can claim your own spiritual authority, and that you don't have to worship, bow down, or be subservient to any other energy in existence, because you are that energy. All of that energy is you. It's all love. It's all you. It's all God.
Yeah.
We are all gods. Anything that's going to promote your supplication and make you scared of it and fear it is really nothing more than an energy that's trying to control you, use you,
you know, and to make you a slave, a servant. Yeah. I did the thing on the Omega Sectarum, and it was really interesting in those files that the Nordics, the tall, white, blonde ETs, they don't believe in God. They don't believe in this God, and that's what troubled the Pope back then. He said, well, we can't let people know this, that they don't believe in the God that we are projecting here. This is going to cause a problem. And that is part of the reason why they called the Second Vatican Council to deal with this issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to smash down individuality and get everybody thinking the same.
Yes, well said, JD.
Order, it's much easier to keep order of everything, and then you can also direct, financial aspect of it into it too. I mean, you've got total control. You've got the herd mentality. You've got everybody wanting to be good little sheep and that kind of thing, and never even think about looking over the fence one way or the other. They just...
Someone said, Deep Thought says, wow, too many judgy people. I hope they're not judging us. Y'all got no business judging us. You know, that's the problem. I mean, there is a energy construct, I'm convinced, JD, that is been here, that its whole purpose is to keep us divided.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Enlightenment, the truther community, there is now more division I'm seeing coming in. And folks, you got to wake up. It's a trap. Go ahead, JD.
I think you're right. They're feeding off of that energy that's created through our conflict that we have. And it's like, that's why I think it's always just a natural thing for us to want to move towards division and having conflict, because we're being controlled through frequencies and things of that nature to live like that, I think.
Yeah, and I just want to address, I saw one in there is talking about, well, we have to be very careful working with demons. Let me just explain something to you folks. I once heard a great preacher, Charles Sturgeon. Many people, if you study, eschatology, you'll find out. Anyway, there was a true story he spoke about, and this I'm trying to relate to why we should work with spirit. So hear me out on this. He had a woman who was dying, and she made a request of the bishops that if Charles would come and visit her as she was dying. And the woman, JD, lived in absolute abject poverty. She lived in a box. And being in London in the late 18th century, it was not heated or anything. But when he went in there and was talking to her, he noticed that it stood out because there was a silver picture frame with a letter in it. And he asked the dear lady, he says, "Madam, may I ask, what is that?" Because it stood out. She was, completely impoverished. And she said, "Well, I used to work as the handmaiden for a duchess," and he knew who the duchess was. And he said, "Upon her death, this was given to me." And she says, "But I cannot read and I can't write. But I always held it as a personal point of contact with the duchess." He says, "Well, dear lady, can I take this letter and have my barrister, attorney, take a look at it?" Because he could see that it wasn't just a letter. As it turned out, the duchess had bequeathed her entire inheritance to this woman. This woman lived her life in abject poverty when she was absolutely one of the wealthiest.
Whoa.
Now, my point to all this, ladies and gentlemen, is this. The spirits are real. What the hell are you if you're not a spirit? And to be afraid of them, why would they not want to work with a human? Why would they not want to work either for or against? You have to understand, it's the same plane. So put that into your thought process when you hear people who work with spirits. Don't judge them. Don't look at them like they're some kind of, evil individual. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about getting things to your advantage while you're in this corporeal form. They love you over there. They want to work with you, but if you constantly reject them, eventually they'll walk away. Sorry, JD.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No problem at all. No, I agree with you on that too.
And that's why I applaud you, JD, because you are a young man that is pursuing something that our people lost. The shamans predate all religion. The earliest records that we have of humans is that within every culture, every tribe, there was a shaman. And I applaud you, my friend. I can only wish that more will pursue the path that you're on and we begin to heal one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had you on, because I admire what you have, the gifting.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, man.
Well, it's just the way it is. And, listen, you can go to a doctor and you can spend tens of thousands of dollars and you can get all the drugs that you want that are going to jack with you that were never meant. Listen, the medical community is not about curing you.
Mm-hmm.
They're about treating you.
Mm-hmm.
Shamanic healing, and tell me, and JD, this is your wheelhouse, but what I love about shamanic healing is that it deals with the real you.
Yeah. It's getting down to who you are, at your soul essence.
Yes.
And really, it's really, I'm just allowing people to heal themselves. It's really nothing that I'm doing above and beyond being a vessel for that universal life force energy.
Yeah.
Now there's some things that I will direct. I direct energies, and I'm combining them and making them a little more potent, utilizing my own energy. But I'd still say that most of it all boils down to the person is really healing themselves, and that's what I like about this too, because it's something that you can get real tangible results from it. And it's not something that's going to require you to be subservient to a chemical or a certain, prescription. Yeah, I've been there. I've been through opiate addiction. I've been through like methadone clinics. Had to take Suboxone for years. And it was through magic and shamanic healing that I was able to get through all of that.
Fantastic.
And like that is so difficult. Because yeah, I mean, they weren't trying to make me better. They were just trying to keep me on another maintenance drug that I was addicted to, replacing one thing for the other. And it has such a grip on you that you really think that you could never.
My big concern is for the United States, and I'm sure that this is true for other countries, that the vast majority of citizens in the United States are spiritually possessed. And hear me out on this. So we know alcohol is called spirits. Why? Because we distill, we're using alchemy. The same black magic that is used in the consumption of alcohol, because listen, folks, occasional drink, I don't have a problem with that, but we know what happens when it becomes an addiction. I just recently read a thing out of the New England Medical Journal that the rate of liver failures among 20 and 30-year-olds is off the chart. So think about this. So the same chemical combinations are used, but even more devious within every drug that you take. It's going to have a correlating response. For instance, I can't take Percocets. You want to know why? Because as my wife says, it makes me as mean as a junkyard dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can feel it literally coming on me. And so when I see the inundation of this realm, this spirit realm coming in, particularly with the pushing of all these drugs, all these genetically modified drugs upon the population, there's something spiritual behind that, JD.
Yeah, I think so too. And you can almost, I think, with a lot of these pharmaceutical drugs, especially a lot of the antipsychotic type of medication, you can, like, if you're sensitive enough, you can feel particular vibrations off of people that are on specific types of medication. I mean, and then, you know, if somebody's on a specific type of drug, you'll be able to feel that too.
I went into a psych ward, JD. I used to preach. You know, I used to preach in the prisons and used to preach in the psych wards. And I learned decades ago that I was different. And I went in there one time, and I'll never forget this person. She literally was climbing the walls. I mean, literally. And she looked at me and she says, "I know you. You're not who you say you are." She says, "I've seen your power before." And I mean, distorting the face, and, you know, they had two of the aides there because they weren't sure. And I just spoke to her. I said, "You know, I'm all of that and much more." And she screeched. She says, "He tells the truth. He tells the truth." And then she calmed down. But so, wow. Yeah, you know, but listen, I had one person who was possessed of many, many other beings, and he was using a very ancient form of trying to put a curse on me.
Oh, wow.
And I remember grabbing his hand, and I said, "This is undone." And his hand literally started burning, you know, and he says, "Oh, you burnt my hand." And I said, "I didn't do anything, Jack. Just don't put, you know, any type of voodoo on me." So they're here.
Yeah.
They're here. Yeah. It's I don't know how to tell people this. And I see so many people in such fear that it's got them bound by chains.
It does. And like, all they have to do, and I know people are going to be creeped out by this, but all you have to do is stop fighting it and embrace it. Yeah. And then you'll see what the true nature of it is, that it's not what you thought it was. I promise you that. It's not at all.
Another true story situation. And there was one badass energy source. And I know this is so funny, but I literally said, "Let's do some ballroom dancing to the spirit."
Cool.
And, you know, it was that point of, you can sense this, folks, in the spirit realm. You can see it. It was that shock, you know, like, well, wait a minute. That's when I began to learn about favor. Mm-hmm. And I speak to every spirit now that I meet. I speak favor to them.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Respect and gratitude and like appreciation just for, you know, them being a part of your reality.
Yeah.
And because that's the mindset that I take when I go
Excellent.
into a spirit evocation. If I'm going to be summoning a spirit forth, I do it with gratitude, with love, with respect, with really like that I am inviting my very, very best friend over for dinner or something. Like they're the VIP. Like I really, really appreciate their presence, and that goes a long way.
I'm convinced it's what Solomon figured out. The darkest magic I've ever studied was Solomonic Magic, and I could never figure out how this cat, if he lived, and the rumor is that he was the smartest dude by the endowment of one ET. But in any case, I could never figure out, well, what is he doing, harnessing these tremendous forces? And I said, how did he do that? And I'm convinced now that he went in there with a spirit of attitude, of gratitude.
Yeah, it's not like trying to force the spirit into compliance and force them to doing all these things by using, God's name and all of these other things. It's I think that in the Ars Goetia was a misdirection, to kind of hide the way they really go about doing it. And it's not through trying to get the spirit to bend a knee before you or you're gonna cry. It's not like that.
So you work with Raphael? I have in the past?
I have a few times, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you find that personality?
I find it that I can't really connect to him like I can other spirits. It kind of seems like he keeps his distance to a degree. It's kind of like I have felt his presence, that's for sure. But it's always like it's off in the distance. It'll never kind of really come right in and fill the room with undeniable energetic signature. It's just different in that regard.
I find them fascinating. I do believe they exist. I don't know if they exist in the construct that has been hijacked. I think that these are magnificent beings. I think they're of another, I think they are an extension of us. Mm-hmm. And what I have in my encounter with them, and much like you, I find them more observers than actually participators. Just this is what I have found. And I think they're magnificent creatures. I think if we could approach them not from a sense of worship, but from a sense of communion, fellowship, and I guess I'm going back, to the Lord of the Rings. Tolkien had it right. There are many different lives if the man species would just learn to interact in fellowship. Mm-hmm. Well, the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, there's so much truth and hidden nuggets of knowledge in all of those things.
Oh, yeah.
That we seem to be so obscure and such an impossibility. But I think there have been many, many just tremendous, amazing things that we only consider to be fiction that are total reality.
If we look on the grand procession, the great loop that we make around the galaxy, the universe, I am convinced that we'll come back into a time where Middle Earth will open up again. I'm convinced of it. I see it because you can't have all of these life forms, these energies, because right now I just get a sense that we're almost in a vacuum of almost confusion, chaos. And it wasn't always that way. I know I'm not making any sense, but I'm trying to express what I'm seeing here. I don't know.
No, I can dig it for sure. For sure. and I think that it's I think that we're going through some spiritual growing pains and working with dark matter and chaos to stimulate some very, very profound levels of spiritual growth, and that maybe things are going back more towards a balance now that we've kind of consumed a lot of that dark matter and chaos to stimulate that growth.
By the way, Trina, I want to tell you, I know you're in here as well, but when I told you I'm in my astral travels that I've been in a class and I looked at this blue spear, I figured it out. I am the spear. And it's so true. When I figured it out, I literally became the spear. I mean, it was, and there I was. Anyway, I digress. Well, this hour has freaking gone by quick. JD, talk to us. Tell us a little bit where people can find you, because I suspect that you will be in touch by others.
Oh, awesome. Excellent. And thank you, Wayne, again for having me on, man. Like, I watch your freaking live streams all the time, and you are like the coolest dude ever. Like, seriously, I freaking love what you're doing, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I have a YouTube channel. It's called From the Light of the Darkness. I would love for anybody to
subscribe,
yep, and give us some likes. And you can also find me on the E.A. Coletting YouTube channel. That's Become a Living God YouTube channel is E.A. Coletting. The website that you can find services is JDTemple.info, and also becomealiving.com/JDTemple. And my girlfriend, Orly Stewart, is an amazing witch. She has her own channel, and that's her name, Orly Stewart. She loves your channel too.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sure
much love to you, dear. Thank you.
Do some things with you too.
Well, tell her to come on. I mean, I try to get witches to come on here. I mean, come on, folks. I mean,
she would love to.
Well, open invite.
Sweet. I'll let her know.
Please do. Now, I'm on your website. So, folks, this is right here. This is JD himself.
Yeah.
So, check it out, folks. Continue on, though. I mean, I love this.
Thank you. Well, I mean, but I do live energy work sessions via video chat, consultations, readings, and any type of ritual. There's various rituals on the Become a Living God site. My website has a few, but I need to kind of revamp it. I haven't done much with it in a few years.
Don't we all?
On autopilot.
And it works. It works.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love that. I had to show that out there because I love the website, man.
Thank you so
much. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
A lot of people are saying, thank you, JD. They're subbing to you. Folks, this is a good spirit, a good soul. And, we have to break through some of the barriers. We all have them. It's just the way it is. I like what Kelly said last week. We have to kind of get these codes out, these programs. And Trina's always talking about it. And, once we get these out, the acceptance. I mean, JD, I want to come on your channel. I'd like to see. To start having some work here. I mean, I mean, folks, this is how it's done.
Yeah.
So I expect folks to be subbing over there. And anyway, I have to tell you, JD, the honor has been mine.
Thank you.
I'm in gratitude. Thank you for the integrity of what you believe and what you practice. That is so important.
Thank you, Wayne.
All right, folks. I won't embarrass myself by getting any more love, but I love this dude. He's just one of the type of people, man. He's got to get. So
hell yeah.
All right. It's all good. So thank you, JD. As we get out of here, folks, I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. And make sure to go over to JD's channel and sub. And we're going to have him back on. And definitely want your girlfriend on. And let's make that happen.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right, folks. You be good. And we will talk to you real soon. you.